Today, why men lose hope after addiction and how this one thing restores resilience. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason Lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn how hope isn't found in the past, it's built in what's ahead. Your next right decision can become your highest power, and optimism grows through repetition, doing the right thing over and over. This episode is brought to you by David Dodd and Edward Jones McDonough. Hey man, welcome back. Good to have you once again. Glad you're listening. Glad you hang out with me every Wednesday and every Sunday. This here is Sacred Sunday, and it's good to have you with me today. So one of the hardest things I had to do when I was trying to put my life back together was have any kind of hope, to stay optimistic. I mean, it felt almost impossible. My life was spinning out of control. I mean, my kids were very angry at me, understandably. I didn't have a job. The church was, everybody was pissed off. I mean, I get it, 100%. I'd made my decisions, but it was really difficult to find some level of optimism there, right? I mean, my closest friends would just tell me straight up that they didn't want to be around me because I was so unbelievably negative all the time. My brain would just ruminate, over and over on the things I had done. Then I'd be faced with the consequences of those things again, which would send me right back into the rumination. So, might be having a good day or whatever and go into a restaurant with the family and, look up and there comes somebody from church. They wouldn't even look at me. And then I would just drop right back into that shame, that cycle again. Just it's victim mentality is really what it is. But it's hard, dude. Listen, it's hard. When you have consequences like I had, it was just difficult. So, it felt like I was trying to solve a problem with my brain that just couldn't be solved. It's like I had all this shame, but there was no solution. I just had the consequences of my actions and I couldn't go back and change that. All I could do was sit with my shit. And dude, that felt overwhelming because the consequences I had were huge. Lost job, losing my family, it felt like, losing my church family for sure. And for an adopted kid, losing family feels pretty tough. And so, it felt like, I was losing all of these things. But here's the truth about it. There was nothing else I could do. I couldn't change what I had done. All I could do was just be with it, And chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you've experienced something like this. And I'll tell you, if you hadn't experienced, you're probably heading toward it. But, let me give you some examples of it. I say you're heading toward it, maybe not, but if you're working with an addiction of any kind, chances are you're headed to some sort of collision. So just let me say it that way. But think of it this way. You've seen it in other ways, like a nagging injury that finally catches up to you and then you just can't do anything, for however many weeks, or a wife who's been asking you to change finally hands you divorce papers, or a DUI that lands you in jail or worse, right? Just these moments where the rug gets pulled out from under you and the ground beneath you just feels shaky. But listen, it's actually there when you lose control that you can actually find solid ground. It's the loss of control that you can meet the real foundation, and it's there that you can find hope. So there's this dude in the Bible named Paul who wrote all these letters reflecting on Jesus and Jesus' teachings, and he kind of got his own spin around those. And in one of those letters, he says this: "Forgetting what is behind, Paul, he presses toward what is ahead." Now, that line in the Bible's always stuck with me because hope isn't what's behind us. That just drags us backward. Hope is what's ahead, right? Hope is forging a new future and trying to let go of what happened. Jesus said something similar when he pointed out, he goes, consider the lilies of the field and the birds of the air. They don't labor, they don't spin, they simply trust. And that's what recovery is about. Not trusting in some grandfather in the sky, but trusting in a God who lives in you and trusting that God enough to do the next right thing. You're trusting that if you will do the next right thing, the other things will work themselves out, right? I was sitting in Waffle House one day with one of my guys I was mentoring, and he was working through defining his higher power. And he didn't grow up with any kind of a faith tradition. So, he was trying to figure out what that higher power actually looked like for him. What could that look like for him? And at one point he looked at me, he goes, dude, I've got it. My higher power is my next right decision. And I said, well, unpack that a little bit. And he said, man, my highest power is to do the next right thing, because that one thing paints my future. Whatever I do in this next moment is going to determine what happens in my future. And he is 100% right. And here's the kicker. It's all compounding returns. So it's not about like doing one right thing and then expecting everyone you've hurt to suddenly go, oh, look, you did such a good job, you great man. We can forget all the other shit you've done. No, brother, it's about doing the right thing over and over and over because it's the right thing. You just do the right thing, not so that you can get people to do your bidding, get people to forgive you, so you can erase your consequences, so you can look around and go, oh, look at me, I'm doing the right thing. You do the right thing simply because it is the right thing, not to erase consequences, but to create new ones. That, my friend, is sacred grit. If you can do this, if you can make decisions rooted in love for yourself and integrity, you can become the kind of man other men look up to, right? And you can start a movement around you. And that's what you want. You want to create the capacity for your kids to look at you, for your wife to look at you, for your family to look at you, for other men to look at you, and create a movement of men who take responsibility instead of playing the victim. Men who live with honesty and integrity, who choose optimism even when the storm rages, to choose to be optimistic. Your world will look radically different, and you'll finally become the man you always wanted to be, my dude. Brother, there is hope in your next decision if you have the sacred grit to make it. Now, if you'll come back on Gritty Wednesday, and we'll talk about how to put all this into practice. I'm going to give you some very simple things to do. So today you learned hope isn't found in the past. It's built on what's ahead. Your next right decision can become your highest power, and optimism grows through repetition, doing the right thing over and over. My dude, thank you for listening, man. I appreciate all that you do by sharing, by listening, by sending this to other guys, by, whatever you do for the show, because this stuff heals. It helps people. And, I'm seeing downloads all over the world. It just makes me so happy to see this information get out like that. If you'd like to schedule a free consultation call, you can go to the show notes, click on my Calendly, and there's some available slots there. You can go to the website. That's there. My email's down there. If you'd like to get a hold of me, I'd love to chat with you and see if there's any way I could help you out. All right. Our final sponsors, Oak Haven Diagnostics. My good friend Jody Morgan and his wife Jenny, they have Oak Haven Diagnostics where they do pregnancy testing for cattle. And you can get it oakhavendiagnostics.com, and you can actually order your kit. They'll ship it to you. You take your cattle, the blood of your cattle, you send it back to them. They tell you which ones are pregnant, which ones are not. They do a great job. Not to mention, man, they're good people. So pass that word along to anybody you know who might manage a cattle herd. I still can't see it. Manage a cattle herd. Pass that information along, and it would sure help me out, help them out, and keep the show going. All right, my dude. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.